Hello, everyone. Happy International Women's Day. It is an amazing day today where we are celebrating womanhood. We are celebrating oral achievements. We are trying to put an end to all the bias. So, hello, Devika. Thanks for joining live. We are celebrating Women's Day today. So, I have been talking about nutritional topics all this month. Today, rather than talk about carbs, which I was going to continue from yesterday, I decided to talk about women's nutrition and what we need to eat as women. A lot of the times, when we talk about nutrition is specifically catered for men. For a long time it had been catered for men, and now we have to realize that women's requirements are very different. And even though we are talking about gender equality, which is 100% true, the one thing that you have to realize is, as a woman, your body is built different than a man's body, right? So you have to honor your own needs, and that is why we are going to approach nutrition from a slightly different perspective, right? So the number one thing that I want everybody to do, as women, the one thing we need to do is we need to first accept our body exactly the way it is. So whatever color, shape, size, height, dress size, whatever it is you are, you have to accept your body. You have to take an inventory of your body, how it functions, how much rest it requires, right? um, what kind of food it requires. So just be start accepting that, right? So an example I can give you is, growing up, like, I always had a huge appetite, right? Me and a lot of my friends, we would talk about having like a really good appetite. And my friend was like, oh, it's so embarrassing to go and eat out, with guys, because I end up eating as much as them, right? And who says a woman should not eat as much as a guy does, especially in your teenage years, right? So try to take an inventory, try to accept yourself. If you have a strong appetite, accept that. If you are emotional eating, right, you start to need accepting that there is an emotional cause, and then you can move towards your nutritional goals, right? So while we are going to talk about women's needs specifically today, you also have to understand that self acceptance is the key, right, to even understanding your nutrition and your nutritional requirements. So first, when you accept the body the way it is, the second thing is always take inventory, right? If you start tracking everything that you're eating, you can start tracking your energy levels as well. One of the reasons why most people fail, with different kind of diets, is because you're only tracking the calories, right, which are not the best things for you. The one thing you need to track is you need to understand how the food that you're feeding yourself is working for your body, right? Food has to be a fuel for your body. It is not just something that you eat, right? The food that you're eating, how is it working for you from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, right? Because the food that you're eating, the nutrition that you intake, is going to impact your body at different levels, right? So take an inventory, write everything down, right? So a few tips that I give my clients is, write a food mood journal if you're somebody who's struggling with mood swings, right, which are also common during the menopausal age. And if you are somebody who is struggling with energy levels, try every single day to rate your energy from 1 to 10, and then have a dietary chart with it, and try to correlate. If you can't correlate, definitely seek a nutritionist, a health practitioner who can help you guide, right? But try take the inventory first. Then we are going to talk about certain things. So one thing that is extreme pet peeve for me is the low carb diets, right? So I absolutely get annoyed when people, or especially women, have gone extremely low carb. And the reason is because your hormones will require carbohydrates, right? Especially when you are in your vata cycle, right? So when we look at the menstrual cycle, we can divide it into three different phases. So the first phase, where there's this active bleeding, when you're actually having your cycle, that's the vata dominant phase of the cycle. After that is going to be the kapha, phase of the cycle. And then the last phase is going to be the pitta cycle, right? Pitta phase of the cycle. So if you are having a lot of crash dieting or not eating at all, especially during your menstruation, or working out too much, right? See, your diet has to be consistent with the amount of energy you output, whether it's doing physical activity, or whether you have a job that's requiring a lot of walking around, right? So if you fail to do that, right, it is going to create issues. Extreme low fat diets or extreme low carb diets have the potential to interfere with your hormonal production, right? So they can cause you to lose menstruation for some period of time. They can cause you to lose, or have a lot of cramping during your cycle. So making sure you have decent portions of carbs, and making sure you have decent portions of fat in your diet at all times, right? And as women, the one thing is, the progesterone is the zen hormone, right? The progesterone is always the one that's balancing the estrogen. So to have you in that less agitated zen, you know um kind of mind frame, you need to have good amounts of progesterone, right? Now whenever you have a lot of stress happening in the body, right, when you have a lot of anxiety, emotional stress, you're constantly shaking, you're constantly on the go, you're running, you're losing sleep, it's leading to a lot of vata aggravation in the body. And that is when warmer diet, having a little more complex carbs, can really help you, and they will also help calm down your mind, right? So this is an important thing to understand. So Devika is asking, is it okay to take fat first thing in the morning? Now, I would say that if you want to take fat first thing in the morning, take it with something warm, and take it like, take it with a warm beverage, right? Um, and make sure you're digesting it well. So something like, if you're taking some kind of a ghee, take it with warm water. So you're going to digest it well. And again, everybody's digestive capacity is slightly different. As long as you can digest it, you can eat it. So that shouldn't be a problem, right? But make sure you're digesting it. So back to, the topic, that you need carbohydrates, right? So you need carbs in your diet. So as a woman, like, please, please, please do not go on extreme low carb diets. They are going to create a havoc with your stress glands. They're going to create a havoc with even your ovaries, and they will also create a lot of havoc with your thyroid if you go absolutely zero carb or low carb, right? Now, having refined sugars, having too much sugar, I'm talking about refined sugar, I'm talking about even fruit juices. If you start eating healthy, do not go for a fruit juice, right? So certain conditions that we see in today's world, which are common in women, like PCOS is an extremely common condition that we come across, in women in the fertile years, right? And refined carbohydrates are creating those issues, right? So this entire week I'm talking about nutrition, especially macros, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So making sure you don't have a lot of refined carbs, you're having complex carbs like whole grains instead, right? And always balancing your carbs with some protein. So as a woman, often I also see that if you're working out, you could be mindful of getting your protein intake, but most women are not, right? And you don't need to eat a lot of red meat, or you don't need to eat a lot of chicken, or you don't need huge portions of protein, but you need some amount of protein at each meal that's going to give you a sustained release of energy as well. That's going to help rebuild the muscle mass that you lose, right? When you're doing your day to day activities, our muscles are constantly breaking down in the body, and they're getting built up as well. So you're having good amounts of protein at each meal, which also help your blood sugar levels stay balanced, which is extremely important in today's world, right? So, small amounts of protein at each meal. Do not cut the carbs. I'm talking from a macro perspective, and then you need good fat. When it comes to good fat, one of the best fats for women is clarified butter or ghee, right? So, if you are having a little bit of ghee, maybe half a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon at each meal, right? You could definitely have it every single day, even 2 to 3 times a day, right? So make sure you're digesting the ghee, but have some ghee to your diet. It's going to lubricate your gut. It's going to be fantastic for digestion. It's going to be really good for your hormones. It's also going to keep you calmer, right? Having good amounts of fat in your diet will satiate you as well. So that is going to be really, really, really fantastic. So protein vegetarian options, except for chana legumes, if you eat quinoa, right, which is common in the Western world, quinoa is a really high protein grain. That is a really good way to have your protein. Another good one that I ask my clients to use is hemp seeds, right? So if you can find some hemp seeds are fantastic sources of protein as well. And chana legumes, if you want to skip those, if you can have soy, tofu, or tempeh, which is fermented soy, is another better option. And again, when it comes to chana or chickpeas, the black variety is better than the white from my perspective. So better than like the regular chana, the black chana is always going to be a better option. Mung is going to be a better option, but non-legume options are going to be definitely, you can start having some hemp seeds in your diet, or you could definitely start having some almonds would have good amounts of protein as well, right? So almonds are another fantastic options to have proteins, or quinoa is a high protein grain if you don't like a lot of meat, so that's going to be really good. Back to the ghee. So again, there is a hand portion size guide that I have put on my Facebook page. So if you visit my Instagram at the rate Manjiri Ayurveda, or if you go to my Facebook page at the rate Manjiri Ayurveda, you can see that there is this hand portion guide where I talk about using your hands, and this is the kind of protein you need to have, or this is the kind of carbs you need to have in a day. So I'm going to talk, that's all in that guide, visual guide. um, so these are the macros. Now when we go to micros, right, so micros are nutrients that you require in smaller amounts. One of the biggest things that women lack in is iron, right? So iron is definitely like a good, great, requirement that you will always need. And till the time you are having your menstruation, right, you are going to require iron on a regular basis, because every time you're menstruating, you're going to lose out a lot of iron, right? Often women don't have a lot of iron in their diet, because we don't have as much red meat, or we don't have as much animal protein, which is again going to have iron, right? So one of the things that you can start adding to your diet for iron is lentils will have good amounts of diet. Spinach is something that has good amounts of iron and folate as well. Dried fruits, apricots, prunes, raisins, right? Prunes are fantastic if you have constipation. Prunes can really help build up your iron level. Apricots are really good. Even dates, raisins are fantastic sources of iron for you, right? Um, any kind of legumes, are going to be fantastic. Quinoa again is going to have good amounts of iron as well, right? One of the fruit that I recommend most women to take, like if you're taking iron pills but you're not absorbing the iron, right, vitamin C helps with absorption of the iron, right? So if you're looking at vitamin C rich foods, you can definitely go for amla berry. So that's going to be a definitely good option, right? And if you're looking at amla berry, you can definitely eat it, you can steam it, you can have it, you can make a juice out of it, add some honey and have it. So that's another good option. Pomegranates are fantastic again for building the blood, right? So pomegranates, having those in your diet on a regular basis is also going to be fantastic for your blood, right? And they also have vitamin C, they have vitamin K, they have potassium as well as other key nutrients. And they are antibacterial. The seeds are antibacterial, antiparasitic, and they work to clean your system as well. So this is definitely, like, those two are my favorite fruits for women. If you're experiencing a lot of heat in the body, hot flashes and all, amla berry will work fantastic. Also will pomegranate work fantastic, right? So Devika is asking, can endometriosis patient take chicken? Endometriosis patient, now again, even with endometriosis, I like to see whether it's vata, pitta, kapha, mainly vata or pitta, what's really dominant, right? You can take it in small amounts, but always buy the hormone free one, right? So don't like just get any chicken that's been pumped. A lot of the times, chicken or any animal products for that matter are pumped with lots of hormones, so you don't want those excess hormones in the system, right? So make sure, if you're taking chicken, try to always pair it with some veggies for the fiber to flush things off your system. So the other requirement that women have is calcium, right? So we don't get enough calcium in our diet, and dairy is not the only option, right? When we talk about dairy, definitely you can have dairy if you can digest it, right? So 100% you can have it, but if you're looking at calcium sources that are non dairy related, there are a lot of different sources, right? So almonds are a great source, chia seeds are a great source, dried figs, right? So figs are also really good as a tonic for women. So something like a fig and almond shake. It's not a milkshake, you're not adding milk here. Or you can add a non-dairy milk if you want, right? But having figs, having almonds on a regular basis is going to be fantastic. You can soak 1 to 2 figs along with 3 to 4 almonds overnight. In the morning, you can actually peel the almonds, right? And you can chew on the almonds, or you can peel the almonds and blend it along with the soaked figs. And then you can add it to any warm beverage. You can add it to your warm, non-dairy milk. If you have dairy, you can add it to goat's milk or regular cow's milk if you're good with it. So definitely you can do that, and that is a fantastic tonic. It is great source of calcium. It also has iron in it, right? So that's a good option. Tofu, as I mentioned, white beans, sunflower seeds, so those are a few options. When it comes to nutrients, omega-3 fatty acids, again, walnuts, chia seeds are fantastic for omega-3 fatty acids. Again, ghee is my favorite. When we talk about fat, you can't just let go of ghee. And the last one that I want to talk about is phytoestrogens, right? So the world that we live in, there is a lot of, bombardment of estrogen to our body, and these are the artificial hormones, right? Estrogens from outside called xenoestrogens, and I have done a lot of talks about these as well before. So xenoestrogens are foreign estrogens, right? Whether you're looking at BPA lining in plastics, or cans, or whether you're looking at different kind of parabens, or you're looking at different kind of phthalates, a lot of chemicals in your environment, right? They are going to start acting like your female hormones, and they're going to occupy the receptors of your female hormones, right? And these are also responsible for causing a lot of damage in the body, so they could cause certain conditions in the body. Even endometriosis is one of those conditions, right? It could also cause different kind of cancers to your body. It will cause a lot of menstrual issues, menstrual irregularities, these xenoestrogens or foreign estrogens can increase the cell growth by 100 times of what an estrogen molecule would do, right? And that is how they are cancer causing. So one thing you have to do is completely, dejunk your food. Do not have anything that is like, try to have all the meats if you're having which is hormone free, right? um, Again, dairy would naturally have hormones, so if you have hormonal disorders, having a lot of dairy is not a good option, right? So you can use it sparingly if you enjoy it, but having dairy, because you cannot take the natural hormones out of it, right? Drinking milk, not the best option for a woman suffering from estrogen related disorders. And phytoestrogens or plant based estrogens can be an absolutely great way to detoxify these xenoestrogens, right? So phytoestrogens are good estrogens that are based in plants, right? One of the best sources is flaxseed, right? So flax seeds have fantastic amounts of phytoestrogens. Even mung beans, right? So phytoestrogens, mung beans would also have um, phytoestrogens. There are oats which will have phytoestrogens, barley will have phytoestrogens, soybean, right? Soy, if you're having soy, always go for the organic non-GMO soy. Apples, carrots, beans, lentils, rice will have some amount of phytoestrogens, right? And they can help clear your excess estrogens, right? They have a protective function on your body. So start incorporating foods that have phytoestrogens, which is also the key to helping your body detoxify from the excess estrogens, right? So this is one thing you need to do in your diet. So we've talked about iron, we've talked about calcium, we have talked a little bit about omega 3s, about good fats, and we have also talked about phytoestrogens, right? So this is a little take on the nutrition. Now, the one thing, as I started this talk by discussing more about honoring your body, right, with the right nutrition. So try to take some time and educate yourself, right, about nutrition, so about what your body's requirements are, and this will really be super helpful for you. Now my question is, are you guys, like, I know I can see a few of you online, do you have any questions for me? So if you have questions, you can just put it in the chat. I'm going to say a quick hi to Sapna's here. Susan is here, and there's another Facebook user. I can't see your name unless you give permission to StreamYard. So I can't see your name. But if you have any questions, I would love to, talk about. And another point now, because we are talking about nutrition, right? A lot of the things can go in our diet without, or go into our bodies, right, as women, even without us wanting or being conscious about it. And um, this is something that everybody uses nowadays and we all love it, but we're not conscious about this aspect, and that's your makeup, right? So your makeup could lead you to ingest, like especially for the lipsticks that you're wearing, right? If your lipsticks are toxic, you're going to ingest a lot of toxins through the lipsticks, right? Nail polish, right? If you wear any kind of nail polish, and if you're cooking with your hands, for me, I tend to knead dough when I'm making rotis and stuff, right? So if you have nail polish that's chipping, and if you're cooking, chopping, there could be particles, and that is some way you're going to start ingesting those toxins, right? So when we talk about phytoestrogens, we also have to talk about not feeding yourself all these unnecessary stuff, right? So try to make sure, these are not nutrients, these are anti-nutrients, but they could come from your makeup, they could come from your nail polish. If your nail polish is chipping, you're chopping up your vegetables and all, right? So one thing to do is always detoxify your makeup, and I have done a few sessions on that. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. I've talked about makeup, and how to, like, I've started going more towards cleaner brands, so how to pick the brand and all, I think I've talked about it before. So be conscious of that, right? And phytoestrogens, again, fantastic. So I am not going to have a big talk today, like I'm trying to limit this to 15 minutes. I think I went a little bit overboard today with the excitement of women's health. So I have covered women's nutrition in a nutshell today. If you think your friend or a family member could benefit from this information, please, please, please share it with them. And a very happy and International Women's Day, to all the women out there. I am a product of so many women who have helped me, my mom, my grandma, my sister-in-law, like everybody has been, all my friends, like I wouldn't have been the person I am today without their support. And I have always had an amazing community of women around me, no matter where I go, whether I'm in India, whether I'm in Canada, I've had an amazing support system thanks to all the wonderful women around me. So take some time to appreciate yourself, take some time to educate yourself, right? And take some time to appreciate your differences and your unique requirements as well, right? There's no shame in requiring certain things either for yourself. So you have to be able to advocate for yourself. You should be able to advocate for your own health and for your own nutrition, and this will start with you, right? And educating a woman is as good as educating the entire family, right? So the same, is true with nutrition. If you start making better choices for yourself, you will start making better choices for your family, and then your kids will watch you and make better choices as well. So again, a very, very, very happy International Women's Day to everyone. Thank you so much for watching this live, and have a fantastic day, and just celebrate you today. So bye for now. Have a good one.